ready to chug some beers and make some bad gambling picks. Welcome to ChuggieBets.
What is the ultimate worst song to listen to on a boat? Right? So, like, there's a lot of songs that sound like they would be good on boats, but if you actually listen to it, you know it's a bad time. I'm going to start off with the Titanic song, My Heart Will Go On. Right? Really, no one wants to hear that on a boat either way. It's not like a slapper. No one's like, oh, can you throw in that slow Celine Dion jam? But you know this boat ride is not going to go well when you're listening to Celine Dion.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that is a really great song, and I like to hear it on a boat, depending on the mood. But I get what you're saying, where it's the Titanic song and the Titanic sank, and I'm guessing we're talking about this because my boat recently sank.
Well, I was going to say Enter Sandman based on the name alone, but the song's too good to not listen to on a boat.
That's true.
Yeah, especially if you're like when you're on your way out, like cutting through the waves.
Yeah.
Enter Sandman's good.
You don't want your boat to Enter Sandman.
I think I have it. I think I have it because it's actually on my boat playlist, and I've been told it's the worst song you could possibly listen to on a boat, and it's "The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald."
It's not a good one. Not a good one on a historic boat.
I mean,
R.I.P. Gordon Lightfoot.
All right, is he dead?
Real recognized real. Yeah, he was gonna come play in Jacksonville actually, and the show got canceled, and then he died 2 months later. So
that sucks.
pretty good excuse to miss your show.
Yeah.
I don't see that song being one you'd listen to on a boat. I'm surprised it's on the boat list. I get it has a boat name, right? And I understand that, but what's the atmosphere? What do you I feel like you got to be drinking Merlot on the boat.
So this was actually, the playlist originated when Missy and I were going on our uncle's giant sailboat in Tortola.
Yacht cruising is different.
And so I was trying to build a playlist that was like basically any song that had anything to do with water or sailing or the Caribbean or Mexico. My favorite song that comes on the playlist is "There's No God in Mexico," which I don't know if you guys know, but it's like "Ain't No God in Mexico." It's Waylon Jennings. It's good.
I got a low key yacht rock banger for your playlist along those lines. Key Largo by Bertie Higgins.
I don't know if I know that song.
Sailing away to Key Largo. It's a good one.
Honestly, you can listen to anything Steely Dan on a yacht, and I think you're always good, right?
Yeah, I got a lot of Harry Belafonte on this playlist.
Harry Belafonte is awesome. That's a good.
Yeah.
I don't even consider that yacht rock. I just consider that shit good.
Right? I was about to hard pivot this into like a bit of a Steely Dan slander sesh.
Dan.
I think there's like 3 good Steely Dan songs, and they're just like good. They're not like phenomenal, but like there are like Steely Dan fans that are like diehard. Like they made music straight from God's lips, and it's like I don't get it.
I think there's also a lot of people that would take your position on Blink-182, for example, but there's a lot of people out there that really, really love Blink-182.
It's true.
So I guess you're saying Steely Dan's just another band, so you agree with me.
I agree with you that Steely Dan is a band who makes music and has fans.
Yeah. So I think that's the idea with yacht rock. I don't think any of it's actually good, but it's a good listen.
Whoa. Some of it's really good.
Give me a couple examples. Tell me
anything Christopher Cross puts out.
If you're gonna say Sailing is better than anything by Steely Dan, you're wrong. Like I don't understand. You cruise differently than I do. Steely Dan's more upbeat. You know, if you're gonna say,
Matt, only a fool would say that.
What's your favorite boating song? Is it yacht rock? You like yacht rock to be? That's like your favorite shit?
No, I really like reggae, like Toots and the Maytals or Bob Marley. I know it's like stereotypical, but it makes me feel good on a boat.
Sticks, baby. When Sticks comes on, it fucking hits.
I'm
Sailing Away. Oh, it's the best.
See, this is the perfect spot for like cheesy country, like Zach Brown or Kenny Chesney, but it took a hard pivot about
Kenny
7
Chesney
years ago. And
tracks, man. Like she's from Boston.
Anymore.
And you're fishing and it's dark out, and She's from Boston comes on. It's great. It's a nice slow jam for you and the boys to just kind of get romantic.
Hold hands, watch the stars. Sounds nice.
Just peel some fish off the hooks.
That's true. And there's different types of boating, right? I think there's situational cruising and fishing I think has a different vibe to it. Situational cruising, like if you're listening to Enter Sandman, I can see a pontoon boat, right? And you're kind of just like, or I don't know if that's actually correct.
So fishing is like going for a run. Like tubing and like water sports is like doing kickboxing, and cruising is like doing yoga. Just very different vibes, but they're all sort of, you can all say you exercised or you went boating, but very different things.
Enter Sandman fits like if you're trying to get through the Hollover Inlet. Like Enter Sandman is perfect for that scenario.
Sure.
That's the one where everyone always gets tossed out of the boat and boats
yes,
like
yes, exactly.
Yeah. But like if you're coming back with a haul of fish, like the boys are back in town, I feel like that's slaps.
Oh hell yeah!
There's no situation where you could put the boys are back in town on and it would not slap.
No,
like
you don't
put
even
that
have
shit
to
on
have
at a
any
funeral.
Fish. The boys coming in the inlet anytime. The boys are back in town. That's perfect. That fucking hits every time.
Absolutely.
Like literally, like you get arrested. Boys are back in town.
The boys are back in town.
Especially if it's not the first time you were arrested.
you accidentally hit a deer.
The boys
are back in town.
You shoot a 104 golfing. The boys are back in town. Doesn't matter.
You're fading away after ODing on like heroin.
The boys
are back in town.
You tell your wife, I'm sorry, the boys were back in town.
The boys are back. The boys are back.
Anyways,
speaking of boys being back in town,
we're back, baby. Welcome to ChuggieBets.
It's been a while, boys.
I got Al to the left of me, got Danny to the right of me. I'm sitting middle. And let's chug a beer. Cheers.
Cheers.
Do it. Cheers.
Disclaimer, because even though I know he's not a listener, it's my father-in-law's boat that sunk, not mine. I don't want to say it. He's the one dealing with all the sadness.
You said he is a listener?
No, he's not a listener.
I was going to say maybe it's because we haven't put out enough content lately that he decided to sink his boat out of sadness. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
All joking aside, having a boat sink is some real bullshit that sucks ass. So RIP.
It's been stormy, man. It's been stormy down here, and it just knocked it off the lift. So.
Yep. But we're happy to be back. Obviously, we're
sorry, Matt. If the insurance company is listening, faulty lift, boat needs to be 100% replaced. Absolutely.
Oh, I got pictures. The lift is definitely faulty.
Yep. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So we're football people, right? We're best during football season, and we were struggling, and football's kind of back, so we are kind of back. We'll have a lot of content coming up with you week over week, especially as the football season gets loaded. We'll do our normal shit, week 0, week 1, and we'll be here for it through the NFL season all the way to the Super Bowl, and then we'll try to figure it out again. But to get started, let's talk about the most popular style of football. Lionel Messi. Hitting the streets of Miami. The people are going absolutely mild, going milder than you've ever expected. And we saw that small stadium, Drive Pink Stadium, had the seats packed. Seats are $350 now for standing room only. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on Lionel Messi in Miami now.
I mean, it's going to make the traffic worse getting out of my office because I'm right across from that airport that the Drive Pink is right next to.
Uh-huh.
What do you think his pub sub order is? First off, does he get a half or a whole?
Oh, he's definitely getting a whole. No, he's definitely getting a whole. You know how much he runs, man? They burn so many calories.
I think
they burn so many calories running. No, you're wrong. You're wrong.
They don't eat bread though. Or do you think he gets a wrap then?
No, he definitely eats bread. They need the carbs, man. They need the energy. You're wrong. So, athletes eat so much more than us and stay fit.
So they burn so many calories. I don't know if they eat so much more than me, but they definitely do it and stay fit, unlike me. So there's that. But Danny, all right. So agree to disagree, but give me what you think is Leo's pub sub order.
I mean, if you're going to Publix, you got to get the chicken tender, right? It's just like that's what they're famous for. But he was there last week, and the Ultimate was on sale. So I'm guessing he went Ultimate for the extra protein.
So I think he is going the pub sub chicken tender the first time, but I think he's going to fall back to something he's more familiar with. I could see him just being like a ham and cheese guy. I don't think it's going to be overly fancy. 6-inch or half ham and cheese, and he's set. I know you're going to say he's going to run it off. I think he's going to eat some other stuff too. But hopefully you liked it enough, because I'm sure Publix loved the publicity of Lionel Messi just walking around his store.
I think he probably did like he ordered a Cuban, but had them like do some weird shit to it. Like he got a bunch of like veggies on his Cuban. Something, I don't know.
You don't get veggies on your Cuban when you go to Publix?
No.
I had jalapenos to mine.
Or maybe like he like got like hard-boiled eggs and like had the deli add hard-boiled eggs onto his sub. That sounds like something an athlete
That sounds actually kind of good. I would add hard-boiled eggs on my sub.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying.
What was more surprising, that Lionel Messi does his own grocery shopping, or that no one at Publix cared that Lionel Messi did his own grocery shopping? And by no one cared, I meant like 12 people cared.
I wasn't totally surprised that this happened, because like one of the reasons that he came to Miami over the other places is because he wouldn't be recognized as much here. He wanted to have like the more quiet life, and he lives here a lot of the time, and he probably does do this kind of grocery shopping, and people don't recognize him because he's, what is Messi, 5'6"? He just looks like a little dude walking down the street. Like Zach Thomas lived next to a guy for his entire career, and the dude didn't know that he was Zach Thomas. He was just his neighbor Zach.
Yeah.
And there was another story that Dan Levitard told one time about Wes Welker. He told a guy that he played football for the Dolphins, and the guy did not believe him. And this is right before he got traded for a second round pick. Like, he was really good.
I think I have like a conspiracy theory. Like, something smells fishy about these like Publix encounters, right? Like it kind of seems like he was planted. Like it's sort of like maybe there's some production behind it, and they're like, oh, we're gonna have you walk around with a shopping cart in a Publix and get your picture taken, and maybe people will be like, who's that? And just as like a publicity thing.
I honestly think he was just going to pick up a pub sub, bud. I don't think it was anything more than that. Lionel Messi does not let pictures like that get out and be used. Like, his image is like what he makes most of his money off of.
You're making my point for me then.
What?
I don't think it got out. I think there was 10 people who recognized Lionel Messi at a Publix, right? If you think that's not that many, if you
that's
think
what I'm saying. Al's saying that Publix is paying him to go do that, and I'm saying
I think he is too. I agree with Al. I'm actually on this.
Oh no! If Publix is paying him to go do that, the picture is going to look so much better.
No, man, UGC baby, you got to make it look organic. You want to make it look natural.
That's not the Messi way. I mean, every picture that comes out of him looks. His image is how he makes his money. He's not going to let something like that come out. It's literally how he makes the majority of his money, is his image.
Okay. So you're saying that he knew the image was coming out, and he was...
No, I'm saying he went shopping at Publix, and he was like, a fan image isn't as big of a deal as if this was an actual Publix image. If you're saying
so you think the conspiracy... You don't think he's in on the conspiracy then?
I'm saying he went to Publix to go shopping, and somebody recognized him and took a picture.
Unaware that the situation was pre-planned and coordinated. He was completely unaware. That's your stance?
No way. No way.
I'm trying to force you into a corner where you have to admit that it was a conspiracy. But you're not taking the bait. Why would this be a
conspiracy that he just wanted a sub? Don't you?
I don't think it's conspiracy at all. I also think he probably calls ahead and say, "Hey, I'm going to go shopping at Publix today," or he's definitely not calling. Someone's like, "Lionel wants to go get groceries. Maybe he likes going to groceries."
Dude, I honestly think that that's probably the way it is for him when he was in Barcelona. Absolutely, he would have to have somebody call in advance.
Oh hell yeah!
Or he could just not go. It'd be impossible. But I think that when he's just in his like ivory tower in Brickell, he just takes the elevator down and walks across the street and goes to Publix.
Do you think there's someone upset that it was a regular Publix and not like a Publix sub-or? You know?
Well,
saying. He's already...
It should have been a Sedano's. He would have got a lot more clout.
Milums or Milums?
Oh, Milums. That'd have been fire. Speaking of fire, I know we were talking about Brian Ferentz. And that
solid pivot.
I think we're all in agreement that it's ridiculous that Brian Ferentz and Kirk Ferentz, the catastrophe, the plague that they're casting upon college football when it's fun. College football's fun. People score a lot of points. It's fun. And they are taking away the fun. But did you guys hear about Brian Ferentz's new contract?
No.
Here is his bonus. Brian Ferentz will receive a financial bonus, and it will be obtained if the Hawkeyes can average 25 points a game while winning at least 7 games. Now, for most teams, that should be easy. Iowa will play like Iowa Church of the Southern game 1. They're going to play Rutgers. They're going to play a bunch of teams where they should be able to load it up on. But that feat was not accomplished last year. The good part of this whole contract is, we talked about this last year as well. Iowa's defense is elite, like top. Like they score, they get takeaways in odd parts of the field because they punt from their own, from the other team's 40, and then they take the ball away and score touchdowns. It's their main source of offense. So defensive points will count, which will have nothing to do with Brian Ferentz. Something stinks.
I mean,
I'd say there's a 0% chance it happens.
Get your boy paid.
I hate it.
Well, here's the thing. I wonder who's their DC and how much does he like or dislike Brian Ferentz? Because he could say, hey, you can pick the ball off, you get down immediately. We're not scoring on defense. We're going to force Brian Ferentz out of here. Although he'd probably go right behind him because that's some like not teamsmanship shit.
It's Phil Parker is his name, and Phil Parker is considered like the top. I mean, Iowa does not get these top elite level prospects, but he's always able to develop top prospects or make these guys top.
Yeah.
And kudos to that dude. He knows how to.
Also, if you've got to score points, that means you're going to throw the ball more. Like, right? That's the assumption here. And you've got a quarterback at Iowa who I assume either has no experience or has the experience of about 35 attempts last year because they never throw the ball.
Interesting you bring that up. Cade McNamara is the transfer into Iowa. He was the starting quarterback day 1 for Michigan. Michigan moved to McCarthy because it was a lot better.
Okay.
But anything's better than what Iowa had at quarterback last year. I think it was Spencer Petras, and he's a catastrophe to the game of moving the ball forward. He's a rugby player. Where the idea is to throw the ball back.
How much of Ferentz's philosophy do you think helps the defense, though?
I do think it probably helps, right?
Because he definitely runs that like wide zone. I mean, they get tiny linemen, right? They get tiny linemen, so they run that wide zone running scheme.
Have you seen America?
They do not have the athletes to actually pass block, so they never are running like deep drops passing it or throwing the ball far.
I don't know if I would just blindly agree with that statement. Iowa has produced some really good offensive linemen, including tackles who have pass blocked in the NFL. They're typically like short-armed and like undervalued, but like they can do it well.
They typically are mauling run blockers who can pass block.
Yeah.
Either way,
they're undersized even for tackles. Okay, so I'm just my statement.
Maybe like
my statement's still correct. They get smaller linemen, and they run and they go to places that run the wide zone blocking scheme, like Denver, or someplace one of Shanahan's kids is running around, running the run blocking scheme, or somewhere in history.
Yeah, I mean, is he just going to try and run the ball like crazy?
No, I think I'm just saying.
So throw it, right?
Brian Ferentz is. I agree with you. He makes football very boring, but this is how Iowa has been very relevant for a couple of years now, and he's not making their defense worse. He's not putting their defense in tough positions.
Iowa's defense is always in the best position, right? That's part of their offense, I guess, to Danny's point, is they always have a great punter and they can always get it to the 40, right? And then you can flip the field.
I'm just saying part of his philosophy is to not hurt the defense. And I bring this up because you're like, well, he shouldn't get credit for the defensive points. Well, if most of his philosophy is to take advantage of the solid defense and not let them win the game, maybe let them put him in a really great position, then maybe he should get get credit for those points.
You do have somewhat of a point there. Like, you sound like you've identified the reason for this contract, and it was probably that Brian Ferentz was saying, I'm not a bad offensive coordinator. I have to call the game to, our defense is our power, so I need to call an offensive game that, like, you know,
Complements the defense.
Like complements is the defense. So that's why I don't score any points, because I'm trying so hard to make it easy for the defense to score. And they're like, okay, great, but fuck you. Your job is to score points, so go do that.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, look, Iowa's been more successful than we really expect Iowa to be.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
While he's the offensive coordinator. And obviously it's because their defensives have only been giving up 6 points. But, they're also starting, the other team's starting inside their own 20 a lot. Or deeper.
Well, we're going to try to make it a point to update you every week on the Brian Ferentz bonus.
Oh, it's going to be great.
I love that.
It's going to be a really important part of the program.
Oh, we're not just going to do that.
Though, like if he doesn't,
we're not just going to do that. We're going to keep track of how many points were scored by the offense, how many were scored by the defense, and how many were scored by the special teams.
So Matt, is it just if he hits 25 points per game and 7+ wins, then he gets a bonus, or he's like out of a job?
No, the contract amendments include a salary of $850,000 effective February 1st. The designated performance objectives for the 2023 season includes an average at least 25 points per game and a minimum of 7 wins, including regular season and a possible bowl game. If Iowa gets a 7 wins and averages at least 25 points, a bonus will be thrown in the direction of Ferentz. The point is, Kirk is not firing his son. He should have fired his son because he's a plight.
He's doing what he's asked. Or he's doing what he's asked.
Because when I first started this, I thought it was like you need to hit these bars or you're out.
I wish. Oh, that would be the ultimate. I would be a huge. I'd watch every Iowa game.
So I don't think this is the Mark Richt situation where his son was so terrible and the team was terrible and it was all his fault that the team was terrible because there were good players and he was putting good players in terrible positions to make plays. I just don't think it's the same situation.
I would say it's probably the exact same situation.
Okay. I mean, I feel like.
I mean, you're making it sound like these are a bunch of like walk-ons playing in Iowa. Like Iowa's a good program.
They're good, yeah. And their defense is way better than Miami's was. So he is playing to that strength.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of hairy situations,
do you know how much Mark Richt's son? We turned the ball over and over and over again in that offense, running those shitty screen passes.
Damn, why did he call turnovers?
Run the turnover. Run the turnover.
But you know who doesn't turn it over much? A Brian Ferentz offense, because he calls the not turnover.
He does call the not turnover.
Makes the job sound really easy. They should just call the touchdown.
The touchdown play is so dope. I love it when I see it happen. They don't call it enough. I'd call it every play. The touchdown play.
Right.
You got to have a really good quarterback like your team.
Yeah. We'll get in the ACC later in the next couple of weeks, but we're going to only talk about hairy situations like Brian Ferentz is in right now. And that's bring us over to the Big 12. We're going to talk a lot of Big 12, a lot of Pac-12 football today because why the fuck not? Have you guys seen Quinn Ewers' haircut? The guy went looking like a Morgan Whalen fan to looking like someone who just got a job at Morgan & Morgan. I don't know what happened there, but I miss him. Do you think he'll be the same value of quarterback with this like appropriate preppy haircut?
I do think the mullet corresponds or correlates with more interceptions.
Oh, so
and more touchdowns.
Period.
And more the mullet is basically it's like Jameis Winston hiding on his head.
High risk, high reward.
Winston hiding on his head. It's like makes football more exciting.
Okay, I'm in for that. No, and I'm really curious. I thought he built an image, right? I thought he had like an NIL based on the mullet, and I'm surprised he would get rid of like something that's so recognizable. Right, we're in the NIL era, and whatever you can do to make yourself recognizable, having a giant mullet is awesome. Right,
I mean,
a huge fan.
If I were if I were 21, 22 years old, and I had this like bad boy persona I was rocking this mullet. I had a little bit of money there, and I was like, I wasn't a top NFL prospect, and then this Manning kid came in to play behind me, and he was like super clean cut, and all his family was super clean cut, and he was like, you know what? I don't even want any NIL money. All I want to do is study. I might maybe cut my hair
now that you
and like try
Maybe
and
you should haze him.
now that you mention it, Danny,
Pat Fitzgerald approach and haze that nerd.
haze the fuck out of him. Make him run through the locker room naked.
Yeah, Danny mentions the Mannings, and now that you mention that, I do see a whole lot more of Quinn Ewers' forehead than I did before. Like he went from looking like he was sponsored by Bush's Baked Beans to looking like he was sponsored by like Under Armour men's like erotic wear.
You said Bush, and I was all I could think about was Bush Light when you said that. I'm so sad that South Florida's out of Bush Light. But Miller High Life really coming through for me. Living the high life.
A shortage, and I don't like it.
Champagne and beers. Danny, you should have a spaghetti. It's a High Life with a little shot of Aperol in there and a little squeeze of lemon juice.
I think
Aperol.
Talked about
you think I just keep before? Aperol in the house?
It's hot girl summer. Of course you have.
No, I don't.
Everyone's making it.
I have some.
No, if I have a aperitif like that and we're out of everything else, I just chug the bottle.
Like only 11%. It's just like a light wine. It is important to note that even a shaved head or a crew cut, whatever you want to call that haircut, Quinn Ewers is third in the Heisman this year. Anything from plus 1,000 to plus 1,200. So
I think he's still looking at a second rounder, but he needs to bump himself up into that first round to have a real shot at the pros.
Why?
Like, how good is he?
It's
hard for me to like gauge how good Quinn Ewers is.
Well,
above average mobility, pretty decent accuracy, above average arm. Nothing stands out in the way that like he's going to be a number 1 overall pick. Like he doesn't.
Right, like
he doesn't have like a Baker Mayfield cannon or something like that that's going to like make him, even though he's like not the biggest guy, be a number 1 pick.
Like, is he going to be like a first round pick or like a third round pick or like?
I think he was projected in like a 2 to 3 before last season. I haven't looked at projections since then. I don't really give a damn.
Yeah.
As far as the level of how good he'll be this year, here is the top 10 in Heisman odds right now. 10 is Sam Hartman, who we love, Notre Dame now. J.J. McCarthy's 9 at Michigan. Bo Nix, who sucks, is 8 at Oregon. Drake May is 7 at North Carolina. Largely considered the number 2 draft pick, right? Really, really highly regarded as quarterback. Jordan Travis is 6. Cade Klubnik at Clemson is number 5. Wait for the ACC one episode. Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, did you mention Drake May?
Did I not say Drake May?
Yeah, you did.
That's what I said.
Oh yeah, I tuned out when you
started listing.
You said Sam Hartman, and you were like, I don't want to hear anything else.
Yeah, I was like, I heard Notre Dame.
I said Bo Nix, he sucks, and then I went to Drake.
Oh, that's what it was. You said Bo Nix, and I was like, that's what I thought. I was like, Bo Nix is it's got to be like his 8th year.
Honestly, the best thing Bo Nix did was leave the SEC, because when he doesn't play against the SEC, he's really good, which makes me not want to draft that dude at all.
Wasn't he at Auburn for like 3 years?
Yeah.
And isn't this like his 3rd year in Oregon?
There?
Yeah, it's his 2nd year, and he was really good.
Okay, 5 years is the amount of time you get. Okay.
We'll give you some more insight on that coming up in the Pac-12, because I've got an opinion on that shit for sure.
But don't you lose a year?
Not anymore.
Oh, not anymore. Yeah.
Michael Penix, number 4. Quinn Ewers, 3. Jaden Daniels. Everyone was hating on LSU here last year, number 2. And Caleb Williams, the defending champion, rightly in the first. There's a lot of Pac-12 quarterbacks.
This is like the 9th time like I've gone into a season the year before thinking LSU's going to suck, and then their quarterback turns out to be fucking awesome.
Yeah, they're going to be pretty good.
Maybe I should just stop doubting LSU quarterbacks.
Week 1.
Even that Flynn dude was like, I went and thinking, oh, that guy's going to be terrible. And then he was really good in college.
Has anyone made more money from one game than Matt Flynn? Seriously.
Oh, are you talking about the pro game with Green Bay?
Yeah, and then he got to Seattle, got $60 million and didn't play.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Zach
Or
Mettenberger, though. That's the
also,
dude that I was like, LSU is not going to be good. And then they were still
They
pretty
Oh, yeah.
always
decent.
do.
Yeah, that's a good one.
They always have great athletes. And get ready, Jane Daniels versus Jordan Travis week 1. Get your popcorn ready. It's going to be a ball game. Let's talk.
Was there others receiving votes? I mean, we have a quarterback that used to be good. He was on the list last year. Did
Is he
Manny
still there?
Did Manny totally coach him completely out of the Heisman running?
Tyler Van Dyke is below. He's above Gunnar Stockton at
OLI?
plus
He's
10,000.
All right.
He's below DJ Uiagalelei. So that should make you feel some sort of way. Not good.
It's making me feel away.
Makes me feel pretty ooey, Uncle.
But let's talk.
I think you guys know what Texas. I think of Uiagalelei.
Oh, I can't wait. We've got a fun Pac-12 portion coming up. I can't get this off my mind, though. And I think they may be right for the first time in like 15 years when I say this statement. Is Texas back? I mean, they are the betting favorite to win the Big 12. And it's important to note that. There hasn't been a Big 12 championship in the last like 30 years that had Texas and Oklahoma in it. And they're both ripe for the picking this year as far as being the best two teams. Now, TCU and Kansas State were great last year. TCU came out of nowhere. You know how we feel about TCU if you've listened to this podcast before. But is Texas finally back? Are they actually a contender? Do you think they'll be top 10? Maybe make the playoffs? I don't know about that, but I think they could actually be a contender in the Big 12. You guys have thoughts? Okay.
No.
Any reason for that?
I don't think they make the playoffs. I think they're a top 10, top 15 team this year.
Texas is never back, just like Miami is never back.
Who's never back more?
Every year. Are they
that
back?
Can't be right. No, Texas is back like FSU comes back a lot of the time, and they're good. Like Texas.
You come back there as well.
No. What are you considering a good season?
Top 10.
Like losing the Rose Bowl?
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I would love to. I would. No. For as a Miami fan or as a Texas fan? Because as a Miami fan, a good season would be like winning the
Bad Boy Mowers Bowl.
Yeah, winning the. No, it was like some, I can't even remember it. We were out in Vegas. It was some like tech bowl that like we didn't know what it was. Bahama Bowl would be good. Bahama Bowl would be a good bowl for us.
I think that's like the lowest graded bowl, but I would love to.
They always send us to Boise, and we always don't show up.
Who goes to Boise in December?
Boise, and
nothing against the listener in Boise who may be there, but I'm not going in December.
Nobody's listening in Boise.
The Boise is definitely not back in town.
We don't have any friends and family in Boise.
So, going to your point, what's worse, Texas? Or what's more annoying, Texas being back or Miami being back?
I think it's Miami being back is more annoying.
It's equal. It's equal. They hate us. They hate us.
Them in the same.
They hate us.
They hate us both. They hate the Texas fans. They hate not because they hate us. They hate us because we're annoying as fuck. It's the same as like if you're talking NBA. It's Miami fans. It's we're the worst too. It's
they hate us because they don't want to be us.
Why don't they want to accept us to be us?
They hate us because they don't want to be around us.
I mean, never mind.
All right, let's talk some win totals. And I'm going to give you the coach I think will be fired from this division at the end. So we have Baylor at
the first link you put in. This is the first link you put in that has the win totals.
Yeah, Baylor at 6.5. BYU. Oh, let's take a step back. There's 4 new additions in the Big 12 this year. We've got BYU, we have UCF, we have Cincinnati, and we have Houston. Those are 4 pretty good additions, right? And I don't think the Big 12 is done. I want to take a second to talk about this. Last year at the Big 12 Media Day, Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12, was talking about, we're taking all comers. Anyone who wants to go to the Big 12, we're here. We're taking phone calls. This year.
Hey, listen, my ears perk up when someone says they're taking all comers.
But this year, he was much more coy about it. He's like, I think there's power in numbers, but we're not actively searching. Now, I don't think I believe him. because there's a lot of noise about the directional schools in the four corner schools that are in the Pac-12 leaving. And I wonder, I kind of think he knows something more, like if the Colorados or Arizonas are going to leave the Pac-12. But it was a really coy, odd comment. I don't know if you guys had heard this, but he went from like fire and brimstone to like, you know what, maybe we could expand soon. Maybe we won't. There's power in numbers, but we're happy. Either way, something to pay attention to. Something to put in the book for later.
It sounds to me like a whole lot of nothing, but
a whole lot of nothing. But I think with the state of the Pac-12 right now, that shit is gone. I would have bet my life 2 years ago that the Big 12 was going to evaporate when the Texas Oklahoma statement when they were going to the SEC. But they look in a lot better foothold than the Pac-12 right now.
Well, this year, because Texas and Oklahoma are still there, you take them out of here, and it's fucking it's the Atlantic whatever again. It's the Big East again.
It is. Going back to the original question, I think UCF is probably the best team here. That's not like homerism or anything like that. They look like they're projected for 7 wins. BYU's at 5.5, Cincinnati's at 5.5, and Houston's at 5. I don't know if anyone has a different feeling outside of just want to say like, yeah, UCF's pretty good.
I for sure feel like the UCF under 7 wins is
I would go over the 7, bud.
I mean, you're looking at the class of competition has greatly increased, and this is a team. UCF won what, like 7 or 8 games last year?
I think they won 9. Let me get UCF's record.
I mean, just look at their schedule, bud. They got Kent State. That's a win. I mean, you want to do schedule podcasting?
Yeah, they went 9-5, 6-3.
I'm in.
All right. UCF's they got Kent State. They got Boise State. I feel like that's a win for UCF. They got Villanova, easy win. Baylor is a tough win.
I don't like. At least Baylor's at home. Baylor's going to be good this year.
West Virginia's a win. At Cincinnati's tough. I would give that a win for UCF, but that one's tougher. Cincinnati's going to have a down year this year, I think. I still think they're better than most of the Pac-12, but they're going to have a down year this year. Oklahoma State.
At home, at the bounce house.
I give that one to UCF too. I give that to UCF too. Houston is at home. I give Houston to UCF this year.
This is a 5-win team. That's a 5-win
Kansas
schedule.
State, I'm going loss.
Big
Kansas, I'm going maybe. Oklahoma and Texas Tech, I'm going loss. So I got 8 wins that I think are wins. I got 1 maybe. So I'm at 8.5.
Yeah, I mean, I think they start off 3-0, and then I think it's hard to find wins after that.
West Virginia's a win. Let's just chalk that one up. That's a dub.
West Virginia, Houston.
This is gonna be a dog shit Cincinnati team too. Like,
okay.
Because
Why?
they lost Fickle, they lost everything that they were doing, all their momentum. They lost all of their top players over the last couple of years.
Doesn't play there anymore.
Ross Gardner is gone. Like, this isn't the same Cincinnati that you've been expecting over the past couple of years because of all the adjustments of
their defenders are either gone to the NFL or transferred out at this point.
Hey, you guys realize you're talking about a 9-4 team that is going to be bad as evidence that your 9-5 team is going to be good?
I'm just being realistic, right? Not every year is the same.
The 9-4 team is building, and the 9-5 team is losing all of their coaches and players.
Wait, no, you mean the other way.
Yeah, you have that
whatever.
So I
mean not the other way. Fair enough. I don't think BYU will be very good in this new atmosphere. I think it's going to be real tough. BYU always plays odd games too. They're playing at Arkansas. God bless BYU for that. Pardon the pun there, but BYU at least always takes on all challenges. But I think it's going to be tough. I don't see Cincinnati being particularly good.
I like the under in Cincinnati's 5.5 wins, and I think
I do too.
Yeah, I just feel like they're
Yeah, I think I would probably go over if I had to make a pick, but I probably just wouldn't pick.
I feel like if taking that over, you're just not following what's going on with them. But maybe I'm wrong.
And
yeah, I mean, I think you guys are maybe overselling.
I like the over for Houston.
Oh, I love the under. That Houston team is not going to be particularly good, and that is a better example of increase of talent. Like Al was just saying, this Houston team, I don't know. Here's my hot seat conversation. Neil Brown's getting fired at West Virginia. That's number one. But Dana Holgerson's a close number two. Dana Holgerson's been at Houston. He's kind of lost the locker room in the past couple of years where they haven't been as competitive as expected, and they've gotten real shitty as the schedule waning down coming into November. And I don't really expect anything to change if things don't go perfectly well in September and beginning of October for them.
So who do you have them losing to? You got them losing to UTSA?
Who are you talking about?
Because they're going to beat
BYU?
Rice. They're going to beat Sam Houston. I mean, Oklahoma State and West Virginia aren't that good. So that's like...
Oklahoma State's not that bad. West Virginia's bad. West Virginia is likely a 4-win.
They are also playing Cincinnati in there. I mean, you think Baylor's going to be that good?
I think Baylor's going to be better. I think at Baylor is going to be a big differential there. At Kansas State, at Texas Tech.
UTSA doesn't suck, but that's like, I mean, I feel like getting to the 5 is pretty easy, and that's plus 110. And then after that is where it gets hard.
I'd look at the under. Look at the under.
Yeah, this feels like so Matt, you're talking about Houston under 4.5.
I think they get 4 wins.
This feels like a Matt bet because I feel like I can see 4 wins pretty clearly, but it's hard to find that 5th one, and that is like right where Matt lives.
And this chart, Texas is.
Oh no, I see the number at 5 plus 110, and I would take the over 5 at plus 110 at plus money.
I get the juice, right? Especially at 5, right? Like might as well get the plus money on it. I don't really like locking my futures up with like giving money away either, right? I'd have to make it to 4.5 in order to make this worth my while.
Yeah, right. So Danny, if you were to bump this to 5 and get plus 110, that means you have to have 6 wins for your bet to hit, which is a much tougher thing.
We're not getting 6,
I think, than. Right. So
my point is,
really
I see 5 wins. I see 5 wins. I see UTSA as a win. I see Rice as a win. I see Sam Houston as a win. I see West Virginia as a win. I see either Oklahoma State or Cincinnati as a win, and that would be 7 if they win both of those, or 6 if they win both of those. Sorry. I don't see another win on the schedule, which is kind of a problem. But don't the totals include bowl games?
No.
It feels like those last 6 games are going to be really exciting. Houston, Texas. Houston, Kansas State, Houston, Baylor, Houston, Cincy, Houston, Oklahoma State, Houston, UCF. Like they're going to put up.
They could beat Baylor too.
I don't know.
They
600 points in those 6 weeks.
So to get to the 6, they would just need to beat 2 of Baylor, Cincinnati, and what was the other one I said? Sorry, they're not going to.
UCF.
No, they're not going to be UCF.
Baylor.
I know UTSA lost their top 3 wide receivers to NIL, right? They still have Frank Harris, and it's still a pick-em at Houston, right?
Matt, let me ask you this. How do you feel about Texas Tech 7.5
I kind of like the over
wins
there from all the assessment. I think that team is undervalued at this point. 7.5 is a really tricky one. What's the odds on it? It is minus 110, so
I'll go under.
For me, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know who their quarterback is, and I feel like you got to have a good quarterback to hit.
I agree. It's Tyler Shuck.
That might just be that.
Tyler Shuck, who used to play, and there was who's the backup quarterback last year? Who was so good for them. Really, that comes down to the Oregon game, and it also plays for Oregon's over as well because they're at 9.5. Oregon at Texas Tech is going to be a premier game in week 2. It's one of those games you're going to want to watch because there's going to be – just take the over. I don't know what the number is. Just fucking hit the over.
Oregon's going to beat them. Come on.
I don't know. Bo Nix is their quarterback.
Yeah, so
Wyoming and Tarleton are wins, right?
Oh, God. They're Tarleton.
They're not beating Oregon. They're going to beat West Virginia.
Carleton, baby.
They're
Carleton
not beating
State.
Baylor. They could beat BYU, but I'm not going to count that. They're not beating Texas. Kansas State. You think they're going to beat Kansas State, Kansas, UCF, and TCU?
I think they beat
Like
Kansas.
getting to this 8 is hard, man.
Yeah.
That's what
I'm
saying.
going under this. I'm going under the 7.5.
Yeah, I think so far I like Texas Tech under 7.5, UCF under 7.
I kind of like either Texas
Let me
or
look at BYU's
Oklahoma
schedule. I
under
think I
their
like their under.
totals. It looks like 9.5 minus 140 for Texas. There's no value in that. Where's Oklahoma at? Oklahoma's under 9.
The way I look at Texas Tech's schedule is Texas is a loss, UCF's a loss, TCU's a loss, Oregon's a loss. I only need one from BYU, Baylor, Kansas, Kansas State, Houston. That's it. I need one of those.
Yeah, BYU under big time.
So my favorite play, if we're going to just talk about the Big 12, I love Kansas State over 8. Just take it, right? A square 8 is not bad. You can get over at minus 105. They have a super talented team. Will Howard, who was the second string quarterback to start the year, was better than the starter, Martinez. And it showed at the end when they were beating TCU. They still have Will Howard. They got Trayshawn Ward from Florida State, the running back. They're going to be freaking good. They're not going to miss a step on the offensive side. They did lose a wide receiver. They did lose a little bit of defense, but I don't think it matters in that league. I think that's the bet to take, especially at a square 8. At 8.5,
to lose this bet, you would need 5 losses, which Texas.
At Texas
Tech, no, Texas. After that, who are they losing to?
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I can name some teams that I think.
You got a bunch of half.
Baylor's tough.
You got a bunch of half losses after that.
Kansas, Baylor, TCU.
You got about
Texas
4
Tech,
half
Oklahoma
losses
State,
after that.
Iowa
4
State.
half losses after that. Iowa State's not. No.
Even Troy is not an
Troy's
easy win.
But
they're going to beat Troy.
I trust Chris Kleiman. He is like
Kansas State's going to beat Southeast Missouri, Troy, and Missouri. No problem.
I'll tell you what. I would have liked this bet better at 7.5 than at 8. 8 feels like you're going to be praying for.
It's a nice square number. I don't see you losing this money, right? You're going to lose it to the books for an extended period of time, but I like it at 8. At 8.5, I don't like it as much, but at 7.5, I'd love it, right? I think that's a guaranteed dub, but I think the 8's worth the risk.
4, 5.
Dude, their whole offensive line's coming back. I feel like Kansas State's gonna do this.
I think there's too much uncertainty in that schedule for me to like be confident in betting it.
5 losses to lose it, bud. Give me 5 losses there.
It ain't happening. It ain't happening.
I mean,
you're gonna draw that money back at worst. And I don't even see that. I see them being 9-3. Oklahoma 9.5 is dangerous. Oklahoma State at 6. I have no idea what to do with that one. Texas at 9.5. I'd probably lean the under.
So the Oklahoma 9.5 is really going to hinge on that Texas game, I think.
I love how one of the wins, according to this, is at Alabama for Texas. By the way, at Alabama, classic place to win.
Oklahoma State 6.5. I like the over there. That feels like they can get there.
But like the Texas losses at Houston, like, come on, that's dumb.
It's weird.
Oklahoma State. Which of these games is going to be a loss? Central Arkansas, Arizona State, South Alabama, West Virginia, Houston, BYU. Like, they need to lose one of those to not hit.
I don't think this is a really good Oklahoma State team. No. I guess Spencer Sanders is gone. Finally, who felt like he's been there for like 19 years. But
yeah,
I don't know. Everyone. I also like the under in the West Virginia. I think that's probably one to eyeball. I don't think there's much. I don't see them winning 5.5. I think their ceiling is 6 and their floor is 4, but I think they're more likely to win 4 or 5 than win 6. That team is not good. I think that Neil Brown will be fired by the end of October and put that baby to bed nice and early.
All right. Somebody note these down, Matt. You want to track these? Our Big 12 win totals.
We'll do a recap of all our favorite over and unders going into the season.
I mean, I feel like we should do this closer to the season, or at least we should cancel them if like the
quarterback
get hurt and something. Yeah.
I mean, we're less than 6 weeks out.
Yeah, you want to do your fantasy draft right now, Al?
I know Danny does.
What does that mean?
All right.
Oh, for Premier League?
Oh, hell yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna let the boys talk.
I forget the ones that I said I was. I forgot. I almost forget the ones I was. I said I was most. Hang on, we're gonna have to go back and listen to figure out what I said I was most confident in.
What teams you like?
I mean, I know I like. The UCF over. I know I like the. I forget what I said on Baylor. Honestly, I know I like the Cincinnati under.
I don't think we. Yeah.
So like the Houston.
Basically, you like the opposite of what I like.
The Houston one, I like the over, and Matt liked the under, and I like he got me thinking. He got me questioning myself. Iowa State, I did not give an opinion. Kansas, I like the over. I did not give that opinion, but I do. Kansas State, I like the over. You guys hate it, even though it's at 8. I feel like that's like the easiest one.
Oh no, Matt's all over Kansas State. He loves them. I just think 8 feels like a tough bet to win. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're going to win 10 games though. So.
Okay. Well, then that doesn't sound like a very hard bet to win. Then, to you.
Yeah, it doesn't to me. But Oklahoma, the 9.5 is weird. If they beat Texas, I think they can do it, but otherwise they won't. I don't think they're going to beat Texas, so I'm not going to bet it. I don't want to bet the under though, because I don't want to lock money up that long when it's going to be probably a -110 just on the Texas game, which is going to count for the whole over under.
Yeah. I don't really like betting like season long bets like this. Because I don't like having money locked up for so long, so but I do think there's money to be made doing it. So it's kind of like
Andy's good at it. Andy's good at making money on these.
Yeah. I think if you've got a big enough bankroll where it's not going to affect like your week to week betting, then go ahead and like place those season long bets.
I don't really love the Texas over 9.5 because of the Alabama game. Like you only get 2 losses and they play Alabama. So I don't really like that one. So I think I'm going to avoid that. TCU, I think I like the over on 7.5, but it's -150, so I'm not going to fucking bet that shit. That's dumb. And then I forget what Matt said on Texas Tech. And West Virginia would be under, but I'm not going to bet -180 on 5.5. So.
Yeah, I feel like Texas under 9.5. And Oklahoma probably too, for that matter.
Everybody's not going under in the Big 12, Al. You can't bet every single team under.
The juice is bad on Oklahoma and Texas, but I kind of like the unders on both of them too. I do think that gets to a point.
Al, the only way you're going to win all of your Big 12 unders is if they all lose to like Texas, San Antonio. Like if West Virginia loses to
Danny, you're confusing. I've been on overs, Bubba. Right?
No, you just said everybody under.
I said Oklahoma under. I said Oklahoma State over. I said Cincinnati over. I said UCF under. Yeah, I said UCF under. So 3 unders, 2 overs.
I don't necessarily have a read on UCF, but I could see.
Did I say Texas Tech under?
No, I like the UCF over.
Texas Tech over, sure. I think.
Well, we'll have a total podcast coming up soon.
All right. Okay.
But I'm glad we talked some Big 12. Let's move over to the Pac-12. I have a question for you. It's a philosophical question. If football is being played but no one watches, did it really play? Pac-12 still doesn't have a TV contract, and I don't know if that means they exist. Do they exist, or are they Schrodinger's football team? Because I don't know if I can't watch it if they played football.
How does this compare to Chelsea not having a sponsor on their jersey?
Okay. Yeah, that's not good, right? But I'm still going to be able to watch Chelsea play on Peacock or on NBC or USA.
Okay.
Can you tell me where I could watch UCLA play Arizona at 10:30 when I really, really need that?
In Arizona,
Probably going to
I
be
have to
on.
fly to
you're gonna
Arizona.
have to fly to Sun Devil Stadium, bud,
Okay.
or
Fair
the
enough.
Wildcats, whatever.
So you're gonna look for free streams online, Arizona State, and then you're gonna search for that on TikTok. Find someone doing a live from in stadium.
Yep, the same way you watch Taylor
You
Swift.
might even get a nip
Same way you
slip.
watch Taylor Swift, Matto. You go to TikTok Live.
I'm gonna get Periscope. Throw back to Periscope. Get that shit up. And
You got to watch the whole game in a series of 600 vines.
Can't wait
6
to watch
seconds at a
them.
time.
Bring it back. But the interesting thing about the Pac-12 is, while we may not be able to watch it anywhere but gas station television, it's going to be a really interesting.
On the shell screen. On the shell screen.
I'm going to be at the local marathon chugging 16-ounce cans of Busch Light in order to just sit there in order to enjoy the game. But
They won't have them at the local marathon. You're going to have to go north for that.
10 cents off a gallon of gas with the purchase of a Thanksgiving leftover sandwich and a six-pack of Miller High Life.
Well, from you guys know where to find me at 10 o'clock. But I do think the Pac-12 is going to be wildly interesting football this year. And the reason being is there are the haves and the have-nots more in that league than any other league. There are.
Dude, the Kona Big Wave is so good. Kona Big Wave is so good. How do we not have beer sponsors yet?
Yeah.
Because we've done.
Yeah, Andy, edit this, blur all these beer labels.
And just have ChuggieBets. ChuggieBets.
Oh, is that a Cronenberg, Matto?
It is.
My man.
You're going to have to bleep that too.
My beer options are shit right now. Well, they're only great right now. I don't have my Busch Light because of the strike or the famine. But the Pac-12 is going to be really good. 6 teams have a win total over 8, and 5 teams have a win total under 5.5. With Washington State in that, will they make a bowl? Will they not make a bowl range? My question for you is this. A lot of people have been talking about how good Pac-12 offenses are, but is it that the defenses are dog shit, Al?
Well, I think you and I were talking about this before we started recording, and I haphazardly compared the Pac-10 to the MAC, and I think I like it. I think that's a good comparison. It's a bunch of you never know who's going to be on top. There's a lot of highs and lows within the conference. There's a lot of high-powered offense and dog shit defense, and it's tough to tell which one you're watching sometimes when they're playing each other. So I think there's something to be said there. I mean, it's more like the Pac-12. The Pac-12 is like the the big lights, like the Harlem Globetrotter version of like the Washington Generals MAC version.
This is why the Pac-12 sucks.
Okay.
Right? I can tell you right now. It's because nobody out there plays linebacker. Period. All the linebackers in the entire world come out of either Florida or the SEC states. That's it.
Big Ten.
Nobody out. Okay.
Yeah.
East of the Mississippi.
The Midwest does okay with linebackers. They at the top they have really good linebackers,
Sure.
but I feel like they don't do as well as their backup linebackers. But
where are all the brick shit houses on the West Coast?
They don't exist because they're eating.
You know what they're doing?
You
You know what they're doing? They're being short pass rushers. They're short pass rushers, or they all play running back.
Maybe they've got better business sense. Maybe they're starting businesses.
No, they're
Starting-
Lendell
starting,
White. Was
starting,
being Lendell White a good business sense? That dude would have been a great linebacker for 10 years in the league, but instead he was a bad running back for 3.
What's the white people gym? CrossFit. They're starting CrossFit gyms.
Oh, CrossFit.
I was like, white people gym.
Yeah, and then you're
Is
like,
there
oh
a-
yeah,
what's-
that's the one.
What's the black people gym?
All the other ones. I feel like only racists do CrossFit.
Anyways,
I don't know.
I think CrossFit's pretty diverse, bud.
guys, I want to float a conspiracy past you to determine if the Pac-12 has good offense or bad defense. DJ Uiagalelei went from Clemson to Oregon State. Here's my theory. If his offensive production goes up at Oregon State, they have shitty defense. If his offensive production stays the same or gets worse, they have okay offenses, or there's teams with good offenses. Are you guys okay with that theory? It's the DJ Uiagalelei paradox. That's what I'm calling it.
Yeah, I think on its face, I support it.
Yeah.
If he does well, it means their defenses are bad, and if he doesn't do well, it means
Now, mind you, Oregon State beat a team by running
like
32
both scenarios
times
means their defenses are bad. I'm
right?
not sure if I feel like you're like, if he does well, it means their defenses are bad, but if he sucks, it just means their defenses are bad.
Well, there could be dynamic offenses because I don't expect his offense to produce at any different level. I could be wrong, and I could have been drinking when I thought of this paradox, right? So I'm not sure of this, but
Oregon State's the team that last year had that ridiculous comeback without throwing a pass, right?
Correct. They ran the ball 32 times, have 33 times to get back into a game.
Yeah, and it was like a 40-point comeback or something that they did that.
I think it was Oregon. I think they beat Oregon.
Yeah.
At the end of the year.
I think that's a perfect offense for DJ.
He's made for it.
Yeah.
That's great. So I do want to talk about some of the odds here. USC is all at 10 wins. I have no feeling on that. I feel like USC is a 10-win team. I feel like that's the right number.
Sure.
Their defense is dog shit. Even if they get their defense back to mediocre, I still think they're a 10-win team because fucking that offense is going to be tremendous. They're going to be awesome, but the defense is going to be a liability. Oregon's at 9.5. We can talk about that in a second. Washington's at 9.5 as well. Utah at 8.5, Oregon State at 8.5, UCLA
Washington
at 8.5.
under.
Okay. And then, so
they've been disappointing for the last couple of years. I feel like Washington's been.
That's pre-Penix.
Do y'all have the link to the Pac-12 win totals?
Yeah, I can send it to you real quick. This is in order.
We do a lot of.
I would, if I had to choose, look, USC at 10 sounds right. I don't really know what to do with USC at 10. I think they're going to lose 2 games. I don't know what those will be. I don't really have their team matchups, if anyone can find that link, similar to what we were looking at the Big 12. I do know that, let's talk Oregon, Washington really quick. Essentially very similar teams. You got Dan Lanning, who is a defensive head coach at Oregon, came from University of Georgia, and Kalen DeBoer, who's an offensive head coach. I forgot where he came from, but he showed last year that he's worth his offensive chops. They both have returning quarterbacks. I don't know who would be better in this situation, but I'm willing to lean Washington because their wide receivers are freaking good. And I like Michael Penix. I think Michael Penix is special, and I don't think Bo Nix is special. If I had to choose which one is more likely to get over 9.5, I would lean Washington here.
I think that's like the Spider-Man meme.
They could, no, dude. They really are the Spider-Man meme. That's the Pac-12 top. All of them were just like staring at each other. There's 4 of them out behind USC, like, hey, you, me.
So Washington was 11-2 last year.
They're really good.
But they were 4-8 the year before. They were 3-1 during the COVID year and 8-5 the year before that.
New head coach.
And I even though they were 11-2 last year, they fucked me on the spread so many times.
This is not
fuck you in the drive-through. Sorry, I don't want to like totally hijack this. Well, I guess I clearly do want to just hijack this combo. But the first thing that jumped out at me when I looked at this schedule, or not the schedule, the win totals in the Pac-12, Stanford 3.5. I think you guys are gonna hate this. I think I want to take the over. I think I want the over.
No, that's bad.
Let's talk Stanford. That is legitimately the worst team in Power 5 football.
Are they worse than Hawaii?
In Power 5? No, they're not.
Are they worse than Sacramento State?
So interestingly enough, here's a little tidbit. Sacramento State is known for having a prolific offense. Their head coach, Sacramento State's head coach, is now the head coach of who? Who do you think? Stanford
Stanford.
University.
Yeah.
So they won the D2 championship. No, they're probably not worse than Stanford, but I think the game will be tougher than you think.
And then there's Arizona. Is Stanford worse than Arizona?
Yes.
Yes.
Like firmly, yes.
Yes.
Probably.
I mean, look,
Colorado's the other game you're looking for, bud.
Yeah, that's
So those are the three. Those are the three. This is why it's 2.5. And Colorado's got Dion now.
Is it 2.5 or 3.5?
3 and 3.5 is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Dude, you're not getting to 4.
There's some toss-ups in there. The Cal game is a really weird one. Cal could.
It's late in the season. It's at Stanford. That's possible.
Arizona isn't not great. I don't think that's a very good team at all.
This one's going to be looking really good before October hits, and then I'm going to be dying waiting for one more win. But I think I'm gonna do it. I think I like it.
I mean, if you don't win that Colorado game, you're done.
Yeah. Well, would you rather bet Colorado over 3.5 or Stanford over 3.5?
Neither. I'm not going to bet either.
Okay. Well, if I was like, you have to pick one.
I haven't looked at Colorado's schedule, but probably Colorado.
Okay.
Just because of the Dion effects.
Yeah, their schedule's a lot harder.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. I'll tell you that. They do get Nebraska.
Yeah, like that's like their second.
Oh, but it's not Scott Frost, Nebraska anymore. It's like it's gonna be better. Oh, damn.
Matt Rule. Matt Rule,
who's good at college but bad at the pros.
Bad at pro. That's a classic college.
So I will firmly say.
So Colorado's not going to get a win. They'll have one. They'll beat Colorado State, maybe.
I don't know if they
I think that's
will.
their most winnable game.
I think Colorado State terrible last year.
Okay, so I'll go under on the. I'll go under on the Colorado.
Like, all right,
because it's that different. Those are their games. That's it.
I owe it to the gambling gods that if I'm gonna be cheap and take Stanford over 3.5, I'd better counterbalance that by taking Colorado under 3.5.
So here's my thought process. Both teams were terrible. Colorado State, I really expect to be much better.
So you're basically doubling down, Al.
Yeah. Colorado.
Why don't you just bet that game?
Fair.
You don't have to wait till the end of the year. Just put $200 on that game and be done with it.
If I had to guess, Colorado will be a 7-point favorite.
Danny, see, I actually like Colorado to beat Stanford. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, they might. They probably will.
If Colorado beats Stanford and you win these two bets, that would actually be the parlay of the fucking century.
Fantastic.
But let's have a conversation about Colorado, right? I want to compare Arizona State to Colorado really quick. And let's play a game of who do you feel more confident hitting their win total? Colorado, everyone knows what happened with Colorado. Deion Sanders comes in. They get a ton of transfers in, a lot of them extremely high valued. Bunch of 5 stars. They've got Shedeur Sanders will be the quarterback going into that team. He's proven himself at the lower levels. Let's see what happens at the higher levels. They get a bunch of guys from all the major colleges. Depth is going to be an egregious concern, and especially on both lines. If anyone gets hurt on a line, which happens a lot, they're going to be in a very problematic situation. We have Arizona State, who was dog shit last year, but that may have been a product of Herm Edwards kind of phoning it home, and every player with Herm Edwards phoning it home with him. With that being said, they transferred over to Kenny Dillingham as their head coach. Who's Kenny Dillingham? He was the offensive coordinator at Florida State that got Jordan Travis going on the right path, and he was the offensive coordinator at Oregon last year, who got Bo Nix to being a respectable quarterback. So 32 years old, no head coaching experience. Deion Sanders doesn't have a head coaching experience in the P5. With all that being said, if you had to take an over, which over are you willing to take? Colorado over 3.5 or Arizona State over 4.5?
So I just walked through each team's schedule, and I think like best case, like sunshine and roses and rainbows scenario is each team covers their bet by the hook.
Mm-hmm.
So Arizona State in a perfect world wins 5 games. Colorado wins 4. So that said, I think I would go with Colorado because it's one less game you have to win. So there's less room for error, I guess. Right?
Yeah. Colorado has more talent as far as the transfers coming in for sure.
If you're flipping a coin 4 times, you're more likely to be right 4 out of 4 than you are 5 out of 5. So
yeah,
give me
I
that
agree
Colorado
with you.
bet.
I think it's probably the safe bet. I do think Arizona State is building for the future, and I don't know what the Dion experience will be long term, but
that's going to require Colorado to beat Arizona, Stanford, Arizona State, and Colorado State.
right. And they could do that. And I think Colorado is one of those teams, if they can keep their depth healthy, they're going to be better in November than they will be in September.
Yeah.
Right.
And then just for fair sakes here, Arizona State would have to beat Southern Utah, seems reasonable. Fresno State.
Jeff Tedford is not an easy out. They should be better. I bet you they're a 10-point favorite, but it's not going to be easy.
Yeah. Cal, Colorado, and Arizona in the last game of the year.
Yeah, they both feel like the same. That's where I was wondering if you
Yeah.
had a lean either way.
Yeah, that's why that's why I'm just going to pick the team that has to win less games to cover.
Yeah. So Colorado over Arizona State. Danny, I don't know if you heard this. I went on a long diatribe why each team is in a very similar situation, even though it's a little bit different. If you had to choose Arizona State over 4.5 or Colorado over 3.5, which one do you feel better?
Arizona State.
Okay.
After going through that Colorado schedule, man, I don't see 2 wins. I mean, I see 2 half wins.
Colorado State should be a win. I bet you they're a 7-point favorite in that game, but who the fuck knows? Because
Colorado, do you remember last season how much we made fun of Colorado for being the worst team? Colorado, awful. Hawaii, New Mexico, and New Mexico State and Colorado State, they were so bad. Okay, so Colorado State's still there, but like Colorado had a bunch of transfers out when Dion got there. Like, are they going to be better? Their recruiting class wasn't that good.
The transfer value was really good about the transfers they got in. Now, they didn't really win on the lines, which is really important when you're going to be playing 12 games of conference football, right? You got to have a big offensive line and big defensive line with depth because those guys inevitably get hurt. You're going to see people get injured on those.
Well, yeah, they're going to play TCU in the first game, and they're going to get fucking hurt because they're playing a line that can play.
Here's a fun fact: TCU's
and has depth.
4 starting quarterbacks last year.
Ooh,
4 of them.
That is a good stat.
That is a fun one. I do have a favorite bet here, and this is the anti-DJ Uengale bet, but I think you got to take Oregon State under the 8.5. I know Jonathan Smith is a really good coach. He doesn't need to throw the ball to win the game because he's a really good game planner and he maximizes his talent, but 8.5 feels like too much here.
I think Oregon State was one of the most lucrative teams to bet on against the spread
last year. Yeah.
And I guess just on that basis alone, they're probably not going to be a smart bet this year. But 8.5.
I think that's like actually a long-term thing because of their colors and name being so close to Oklahoma State.
Oh, you think they have the Gundy effect? They get Gundied?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah, 8.5 seems tough.
They're playing the tougher part of the schedule. I can't. We've talked about that. There's like 6 teams you want to avoid, and 60. Anyone who has Stanford on their schedule is good. That's a big benefit. And some of these teams they end up avoiding Stanford, which sucks for their like records.
Yeah, I mean you got Oregon, Washington, UCLA,
That's
and
tough.
Utah. You've got
what was the Utah total?
8.5.
I mean that's just too close to being right. I feel like 8.5 is low. I'd probably go over.
Who's the good team in the Pac-12?
That's my point, bud. That's the point I've been trying to.
It's US. Yeah, okay.
It's USC.
Who is
But
the
it's
second best team in the Pac-12?
right. Okay, there you go. Better question.
It's a tie between Washington, Oregon, and Utah.
And UCLA and Oregon State. I don't
So
know. Like,
They're like
here's
second tier. They're next tier. They're next tier. It's those three, and then it's the next tier.
because honestly, what I was looking at Oregon State's schedule, and I was like, all right, I got to find 4 losses here. Who are the hard teams that they're not going to beat? And I named, or I said Oregon, I said Washington, UCLA, Utah. Like, I don't think they're going to lose all 4 of those games.
So the thing is, I can rank these teams, right? But it doesn't matter because if they play different schedules or that one of them plays like a non-conference, like for the win totals, the wins could be different by the end of the year. But like as far as the Pac-12 goes, I believe that USC wins the Pac-12. I believe the standings mirror last year for the top 6.
Oregon State also doesn't lose at home. So
they don't.
That would be counting Washington and UCLA and Utah.
You're saying that
wins.
They don't lose
They
at home?
do get their 3 tougher games at home, which is a huge benefit.
They just have to go to Oregon.
You're just saying that they didn't lose at home last year and they didn't lose a lot at home the year before. But like they can lose at home. They just didn't play USC at home last year,
Yeah. You guys want a fun fact? Over the last 3 years that weren't COVID related, Utah is 19-0 at home. Think about that. I do think it's interesting though. So UCLA, I wouldn't have thought as being considered this high going into the year with DTR leaving, Zach Charbonnet leaving, and Bobo, their tight end. I forgot his first name, but his last name is Bobo, which makes me laugh.
Honking on
but
Bobo.
Utah plays the hardest schedule in the Pac-12, and UCLA plays the easiest schedule in the Pac-12, right? As far as the teams they match up against.
You said Oregon plays the hardest?
Utah. And UCLA. So with that being said, I don't like to bet against Uncle Kyle Whittingham at Utah. He has gotten 9 wins the last 8 years he's been there where there wasn't COVID affected. But I do think UCLA is an interesting bet here as far as the over. They've got a good amount of quarterbacks. They got that, I forgot his freaking name, that huge recruit coming in. They got 2 transfers in that are really, really good as well at the quarterback position. And they also have Chip Kelly, right? I'm not going to mess around with his offense. He can do things. I also don't think playing at UCLA is a home field advantage because no one goes to the games. So I'm caught in a conundrum here. I don't know.
Playing at UCLA it's an advantage.
Is it?
It's like saying playing at Miami is an advantage because nobody goes, but it's
you
still
know
a home.
When you play a decent team.
I'm gonna pull up UCLA's schedule because I have a feeling I know exactly how their season.
Oh, I'd love to hear it. I do.
They're gonna.
If I had to fire a coach, Justin Wilcox at Cal. Cal doesn't seem like a team that cares about football anymore, which bums me out. I'm a Cal fan as far as the Pac-12. Justin Wilcox has done a really good job there for a long time, but they have not been doing shit. And with the money coming up in that league, I think they'll probably replace Justin Wilcox. That's more of a strategic play. I don't think Jed Fish at Arizona will get fired. I don't think Kenny Dillingham, Dion's not getting fired. And Trey Taylor at Stanford won't get fired. Seems like the Cal coach will probably be the one that's on the short end of the stick if they have to fire a coach.
Or maybe it's the rare season that no coaches in a conference get fired.
I think that is likely to be the case, but if I had
to never happens. It never happens.
If I had to pick someone to get fired in this conference, it's going to be the Cal coach.
Lincoln Riley.
So
Lincoln Riley got fired.
It's going to be, and that sucks. I like Cal.
Oh yeah. So here's the thing. So I guess I mentioned UCLA. So let me tie a little bow on that thought. So one, did you know UCLA opens the season against Coastal Carolina?
They do, which is a really interesting. I think UCLA is probably a 9.5, 10-point favorite. But I think that's a very fun game, and I'm gonna say that's too many points.
Yep, I'm with you.
That's interesting.
So here's the thing. UCLA is a 7 or 8 win team, and their total is 8.5.
My boy didn't
So I
get
would
his
take the
transfer
under on
though,
that.
right? Sorry to interrupt you.
McCall?
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, Grayson.
I
He didn't get his.
believe Grayson came back. Somehow
Yeah,
they scraped the coffers and found enough money to keep him NIL'd.
He didn't get the money he was looking for, so they were able to pay him enough. That's interesting, that because he won't, because they're only bad when he's hurt, and he's had a whole offseason to get healthy. So like this is the kind of game that they come in and upset.
So this is what UCLA does. They beat the really bad teams. They lose to the really good teams, and they maybe lay one egg that they shouldn't have.
I get what you're saying. I think this UCLA team is going to be pretty good. DTR being gone is a problem, right?
Do you think this is like an even money game, or you think that Coastal gets like a nice plus money here?
Oh no, I think it's like plus 9.5. If I had to guess, plus 7.5 to plus.
Yeah, 9.5. I really like Coastal.
So this is going to be part of our week 1 money line parlay for all of us.
I'm going to bet it for sure. Like I'm going to bet it in general.
But they also play at Utah. They play at Oregon State.
Those are losses.
They play at USC.
Those are losses.
Okay.
I will say that.
That's so if we're all talking, we're going to bet Coastal. That means we're thinking they're going to lose to Coastal. That's 4 losses.
You've got 8 more games.
You got 8 more games, and you can only lose one, and you can't lose at all. You got to win all those 8 other games.
I think that USC UCLA sounds like a game that's going to be like 42-40. And whoever makes the mistake last loses that game. I don't think this USC team on defense.
Lincoln Riley's a good coach, man. He's not going to lose to UCLA.
He wasn't supposed to get knocked out of the playoffs last year either.
But you know what team's not going to who's not going to be in the running for second best team in the Pac-12?
Say Oregon.
Yeah.
He just wasn't supposed to get knocked out of the playoffs until the second round of the playoffs.
I think Washington is the team to watch here if you're going to look at the top. And I think Oregon. Look, I like the Oregon Ducks. I think they're fine. I don't love Bo Nix. I don't like that Kenny Dillingham who had transformed.
Bo Nix was really good last year, man.
I think Oregon State is going to finish up there. I don't know if they'll finish second, but they'll finish up there. So I'm going to go Oregon State over. I'm going to say Oregon under. I'm going to say UCLA under. Stanford over and Colorado under. There we go.
I got Colorado and Stanford both under, and I think that game ends in a tie.
To secure the under. That is the best way for that game to end. Yeah. I think this conference, right, looking at these numbers, it's a really fun one because there's a lot of teams that may be playing for meaningful football in November. Especially the way
man, I can't wait to stay up late and watch this shit. There's not gonna be any footy on, so what else are we gonna do?
That's what
aren't our wives fantastic for letting us just drink and watch football all day every weekend for like half the year?
Yep. All the year.
Yeah, Missy's not even making me go to the games this year, so I'll get to drink the whole day at home and watch.
Oh, Danny, Christine wanted me to ask you what game we're going to come down.
There's a couple options.
We
should do this offline, though.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech.
Okay. You guys are going to win by 30 that game.
All
right. Well,
there's going to be more than one rambling wreck at that game.
All right, boys. I think we did it. We will summarize our favorite over and unders as the season goes on, but this is kind of a Pac-12, Big 12 preview. Next week we'll probably get into maybe the ACC before we get into the money two, as they call it now, which sucks. I hate that the Big 10 and the SEC are the money two, and we're all left behind.
Who cares?
But for Al, we didn't do Boomer of the Week. We've got a new segment called Boomer of the Week. One of our compatriots here, Sunshine, fell for a scam on the internet or some shenanigans on the internet. He got ball sacked, as they like to call it. He thought that Dalvin Cook was traded to the Jets or was signed as a free agent to the Jets. That didn't happen, and he was sending a lot of text messages earlier about it. So, Sunshine, congratulations.
Here's
the Boomer
to you, Sunshine.
of the week.
You are the ChuggieBets Boomer of the Week.
ChuggieBets Boomer of the
There you go,
Week.
buddy. For Al and Danny, my name is Matt. Thanks for. We're happy to be back. We're gonna do a lot more of this shit coming up soon, and yeah,
Way
stay
to
tuned.
go, Alcaraz. I can't say your name, but you beat the shit out of Joker, and that's what was great.
Oh, Carlos Alcaraz?
You don't say
Alcatraz?
Alcaraz. It's like
Alcazar?
Alcaraz, right?
Alcaraz.
Alcaraz?
You don't say it like
that was good. That was...
It's not
Who's the
Alcaraz.
best?
Oh, wait. Sorry, we're going to tie it back. Hating ass segment, like Schadenfreude of the week. Do we all hate
Yes.
Djokovic?
Yes.
He's just like
I think you
unlikable.
just, like, anybody who accidentally listens to this for the last like 2 minutes of this will just be like, yes, I hate Djokovic.
Plus
Djokovic's
the
mom is
fucking
going to turn and be like, yeah,
on
I hate that
Alcaraz.
asshole.
These fucking drop shots, my man, was just like, he was looking
Dude,
like he's out there.
He's out there
conducting
like
the wrist action.
loading up to hit a bomb, swinging for a bomb, and then just stopping the racket, and it's just like perfect. Oh, it's so dope. I don't know how he does that shit.
Marvelous. I loved it.
Winning the game where he was down 15, and he won the game, and it was tied 1-1 in the fifth set, and he won a game which was against the odds. The way he was scoring points, it was the best single game of I've ever watched, because he was doing things the bag on this dude on drop shots against Joker, and realizing his legs were fatiguing and using it against him was perfect. It was.
Is that the one where he dropped one on him and then went over the top to win a point? Like he.
And it was also the one where he had to reach fully across and drop on the net. It was the best tennis. Fuck Djokovic.
Like that. I like to think I could at least like make a outstretched swipe at the ball and make contact.
So
but the way this dude is able to actually make contact, not only make contact, but like hit it perfect to where it just drops over the net and just sits. It's like fucking. I don't know how he did it.
It was great.
I would like to think that I could.
What I'm saying is,
I could
win.
Sweat.
I could win one round at Wimbledon.
You would never win one round. You would not win one game.
I would like to
would not
pretend
be able to
that
serve
like I
once.
could compete to be a backup ball girl.
You could maybe do that, but you got to get your cardio.
I'd have to train. Don't get me wrong. I would have to train for years.
I don't even think I'm in good enough shape to be the guy that mixes up Djokovic's like drug water and has the ball girl.
That was so great. You saw that shit?
I could be the guy that blocks the camera. It's an old clip, I think. I don't even know if it was actually for Djokovic, but I've seen that before, and yeah.
Yeah, where the fat guy blocks the camera.
I could be that guy.
Pours the drugs in, and then they bring his water down so he can go keep playing. Djokovic is the fucking cheater. This is why we all hate him.
Yeah.
He sucks.
Yeah.
He sucks.
All right.
He's fake.
Didn't mean to bring in Wimbledon into the closing.
No, it's great.
Wimbledon.
It's great. For Al and Danny, my name is Matt, and thanks for joining us. Good night, Joey.
Night, Joey.
And good night, all the other people who listen. Good night, Kent. Good night, Travis.
Yeah.
Good night, Dad.
Yeah. Matt?
Fuck you, Mudrick.
Good night, Al.
These are necessary.
Have a good shift at work, Al, when you listen to this on your way into the office.
Really
3
enjoy
days.
it.
Have a good shift at work, Al.
Yeah. All right. See you guys.